NC State men's basketball has now dropped their 6th ACC game in a row. Where, oh where, does this road end?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Monday show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's now officially Super Bowl week. Super Bowl 59 is on the way, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you can score $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Just download the app or head on over to FanDuel.com in order to get started. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, NC State men's basketball had another game on Saturday. They lost another game on Saturday, 68-58 to hands of the Clemson Tigers. This now marks their 6th consecutive loss, all ACC losses. Where do we go from here?
Well, Grayson, I want to congratulate you. Do you know why I want to congratulate you? I want to congratulate myself as well.
Please inform me.
This show has as many hosts as the Wolfpack have ACC wins through 10 ACC games this year. Congratulations to Locked On Wolfpack listeners. Again, you're listening to a show with as many hosts as we have wins in conference through 10 conference games. Where does this go? How does this end? This ends our last game of the season. It doesn't appear that this team has it. Not only does this team not have it, it doesn't have any fight. And a lot of people determine fight by keeping the game close. But I disagree. I think fight can be measured in a team's ability to expect good. Anybody can go out there and do cardio. Me and Grayson can go out there and run very hard. The unfortunate part is neither one of us are above 6'2". So we wouldn't be much help on the basketball court, but we could run really hard. We could dive for loose balls. We could do all the things.
And box out hard as hell.
Exactly. Box out as hard as we want to. We'd probably be an improvement on this team's rebounding. But the reality is fight is not just in your effort and your hustle and your dive to lose balls. You know what fight is also in? The expectancy of good things to happen. The expectancy of we are going to win this game and this is how. And it just seems like every second half, that expectancy is not there. Whether we're leading, whether we're trailing, whether it's a top team, whether it's a team that's 2 tons of buns, whether it's Dontre Styles is hot, whether it's Jaden Taylor is hot, whether it's, it doesn't matter who's hot. It doesn't matter. It could be any player. It could be Marcus Hill. It could be Ishmael Diouf. It could be BHH. It could be Bimbo. The expectation that we are going to get this done doesn't seem there in this team. Every time something goes against them in the second half, you can almost feel a moment where the air is palpably sucked out of the team. And that's what I mean by a lack of fight. So where does this season end? Where does this end? It ends with us missing the ACC tournament.
Certainly on pace for that. Now dropped another sprint. And Miami just picked up their first ACC win of the season. So we're only 1 game ahead of DFL, if everyone knows what that stands for. Dead last.
Wait, Grayson. Dead last ain't enough to quantify that. Because what people don't realize, that is a Miami team whose head coach quit in the middle of the season. That is a Miami team that Alex Dono and I, for those of you who don't know, I'm the co-host of Locked On ACC as well with Alex Dono. He said that team is so bad, they get excited to take Cal to overtime.
Guess who NC State's next game is against?
Oh, it's against Cal. It's against
Cal.
And we are 1 game ahead of them. So, Keats has earned his mulligan year. I will tell you this. I am struggling hard. One of the rules I set for myself is don't drink when you're alone and don't drink when you're in a bad mood. Coach Keats is making it very hard, extremely difficult to not break those two rules. As a matter of fact, after the next game, Grayson might just be getting a FaceTime call from me. He said, hey, buddy, how you doing? You all right, Grayson? I just called to talk to you because I'm in such a good mood. Just so I can fire a couple shots back. Because this is embarrassing, man. This is disgusting where the Dirty Foot Club was destroyed in Durham. Thoroughly decimated by their rival, per se. And I couldn't even enjoy it because we can't buy a win right now. We finally figure out how to shoot. These past couple games, we've shot well, and now we couldn't stop a runny nose with Kleenex, the COVID vaccine, and 12 different bottles of Sudafed. We could not stop it. Can't stop nobody. It's just so disappointing.
What's wild is you all have heard me harp so much about rebounding these last couple of weeks. In this game against Clemson, NC State won the rebounding battle by 10 and still found a way to lose the game by 10. Do you know how hard that is to do? Not just NC State not being able to score, but when you're not able to score, it makes it even harder on yourself to consistently defend. Now, that's another ailment that we're seeing with this team. It's just something every game it feels like. There's being snake bitten, there's can't get right-itis, and then there's NC State men's basketball in 24 and 25. Simply cannot get out of their own way. I did love what I saw from Dontrez Styles in this game. You finally got what felt like is the appropriate volume for him from beyond the perimeter. He took 8 shots from 3, and he sunk 6 of them, 24 points. The only problem with that, no one else showed up to play on Saturday. Dontrez had 24, did not have a single other player in double digits. We shot only 38% from the floor. Clemson shot 48% from the floor. It's just it's a comedy of the same problems every single game. We all saw this from early in the season. We saw this from before the season. We had questions about how this team will be able to score, how this team will be able to rebound. And now we sit here as we get into the month of February and we're just banging our heads into the desk because this team is just simply not talented enough. As bluntly as I can tell you all, they're just not talented enough. The roster is not constructed in a way that would provide any amount of success in this ACC league, which is in a down year. And I think that's one of the most frustrating things. The ACC outside of Duke, and I'd say probably Louisville as well, is really up for grabs. You want to talk about fumbling momentum coming out of a banner year, a 2-banner year. This is what it looks like. Fumbling every single ounce of momentum that we had built up. Maybe there was no momentum anyway. It was just nice to have some accomplishments around here every once in a while, but good Lord. I mean, 6 losses in a row. Now you have to go out to California for back-to-back games. Wednesday against Cal, Saturday at Stanford. I told you in one of my hot takes, I think it was a week or so ago, in this next 8-game stretch, NC State would likely be 2-6 or worse. We're now 3 games into that stretch, 0-3. If we can't find a win in California, you might be 0-8 in that 8-game stretch, because I promise you, it does not get any easier from here.
I think it goes beyond this team has had a comedy of errors. There's something in the air. There's something they need to have. Call in Phil Jackson, call in the shaman, call in the witch doctor, call in somebody that's going to get the feng shui right. Grayson, if I told you Clemson is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the conference, if I told you NC State was not only going to make more threes, they were going to shoot a higher three-point percentage than Clemson coming into this game. Clemson, who has, not been great on the boards all year, but you combine beating them in the three-point area. Again, volume and percentage. So it's not like you could jack up 63s and that's how you'll get there, but you beat them in both ways and you beat them on the boards, right? What would you say, Grayson? What would you say? If you tell me NC State is going to beat Clemson on the boards and in three-point shooting, oh, yeah, NC State's got that one in the bag.
Right.
Because those are the 2 things that have plagued this team all year. And even when you get those right, now something else goes right. There's something in the air This team has some bad juju. This team has some bad karma. I don't know what's going on. I get it. A lot of people say, oh, all the karma chips were pushed to the middle last year. Again, this is to see the regression that certain pieces on this team have taken. To see the guys that Grayson and I were shouting and screaming, this guy needs to play more. He's a dude. He needs to play more. All of a sudden look like every single moment is too big for him, and he's out there putting up tour dates. And not to mention, these are not late year tour dates. These are early spring, winter tour dates, the nastiest tour dates of them all.
In the arenas.
In the arenas. Filling up Madison Square is what we're doing with 1 for 8. That's what we're doing. To see that that's happening, it's just so disheartening.
From bad juju to good juju, we're going to switch gears and talk about women's basketball coming up next. It's the Play for K game Monday night in Reynolds. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Monday show is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 week is officially here. 1 game, 2 teams, and endless possibilities. There's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even just betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place just a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets, that's just the icing on the cake. Download the app or head on over to FanDuel.com in order to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 back in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com in order to join today. Bet with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. Middle portion of our Monday show, time to talk some winning basketball. NC State women's basketball has a massive game Monday night in Reynolds Coliseum. It's the annual Play for K game, one of the greatest traditions in NC State athletics every single year. What they do for cancer research and cancer celebration, all the survivors, it's nothing short of emotional every single year. The fact that NC State has a ranked matchup for this year's edition, they welcome number 10 Duke into Reynolds Coliseum. It takes the stakes and it raises them just a little bit higher. Kenton, how big of a deal is this game for the rest of the season for NC State?
Well, first of all, the Play for K game, even if there was no stakes on the line, right? My mother's a breast cancer survivor. I know she's out there listening to this. Love you, Ma. The research that's going into it and all the things that have happened surrounding, not only testing, screening, and awareness, but treatment. Nothing short of phenomenal. So the Play for K game, always going to be important. But now, in terms of the relevance to this particular game and this particular situation, to where even if it wasn't a Play for K game, what would be the importance? You're looking at bragging rights in the triangle. You're looking at NC State is once again, which this is what I mean by NC State never gets its proper respect. How is NC State allegedly the worst women's basketball team in the triangle? I beg your damn pardon. ACC championships recently? Anybody? Final Four appearances recently? Anybody? ACC championship appearances? Anybody? What are we doing here?
How about current ACC standings? Anybody?
Hello. I'll tell you what. It's time for Westmore to once again show who he is. It's time for Isaiah James, Sanaya Rivers, Zoe Brooks, and company to show who they are once again. Because for whatever reason, NC State is the Rodney Dangerfield of women's basketball. You all should have seen the amount of people who bookmarked my tweet when I said, wow, NC State women's basketball is going to the Final Four when I saw that bracket last year. And it got real quiet when they ended up in the Final Four last year. By the way, I'm feeling a lot like Rob Pelinka today. Men's basketball gets Westmore. Women's basketball gets Kevin Keats. Who says no? Who say, hey, listen, I know the joke is played out. I know it's well overplayed, but damn it, I'm just saying, let's let West get a crack. Let's let them get a crack at it. But more important than anything else, in all seriousness, this game is vitally important because, like you said, Grayson, in terms of the current ACC standings, we are definitely ahead of Duke and ahead of, or I know for a fact we're ahead of the Dirty Foot Club. again, we don't get the love, we don't get the respect, we don't get viewed as the team that we are. With that being said, this game, if I'm Westmore, this is a leave no doubt game. I'm sorry. I'm going in that locker room and I'm telling those women, this game right here, nobody believes in you. Nobody respects you. You took bumps early and nobody accounted for, hey, some of your best pieces are not here. As a matter of fact, ESPN's Power Index has you as a severe underdog in this game, or FBI Index has you as a severe underdog in this game. The sharps are betting against you. The Vegas line is going for Duke. Show who you are. Show the championship cut cloth that you're cut from. You all have rings. You all have banners. There are none on that sideline over there. And yet you're still not getting the respect. You're still not getting the love. There's an old proverb who says a child who is neglected by a village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Burn it down. Burn it down. Whoop the wheels off of Duke and make it very clear that there is no, what's the pecking order in the triangle? Who's where? It's NC State and there's everybody else.
To your point, both teams enter with a record of 17-4, but NC State has a half game advantage in the ACC standings. Notre Dame is 1, NC State 2, and Duke is 3. So this is a massive game for ACC implications here as we get into the final month of the season. Duke's a really good team. They're ranked 10th in the country. They're very talented at scoring the basketball, rebounding the basketball, shooting from the perimeter. They do a lot very well. Kara Lawson is an excellent coach for Duke over there. NC State, Kenton basically said it perfectly. This is a statement game for Westmore. This is a stand on business. I'm still Westmore type of game. This is a program type of game. This is the game that proves that you did deserve to go to the Final Four last year. You did deserve to have a three-peat for ACC championships in this conference. This is the type of game that you establish yourself again on a national stage. Again, it's the Play for K game. It's going to be on ESPN. Huge night and huge pedestal for NC State women's basketball to be on. And this should wind up being a very good game. We've talked a lot about the guard play for NC State having to be the engine in the car, I like to call it. The front court is not quite as strong and as deep as the back court, so the guard play is going to have to lead the way. Isaiah James, Sinai Rivers, and Zoe Brooks are going to have to be a three-headed dragon for NC State to come away with this game. It's going to be all hands on deck. I think the guard play is going to have to be what brings it home, though.
Yeah, and Duke, to their credit, they play a full team basketball type of game. Everybody crashes the boards. Their leading rebounder is a guard. Their leading scorer is in the front court. This is a team that does not really – they're not a team that, for example, South Florida a few years ago where their bigs were averaging like 2 points a game, but their guards were averaging 1 or 2 rebounds a game. This isn't that. This is not that. This is a team where everybody has to do everything. But again, they're not us. They're not us. And the disrespect being lobbied at this group, once again, is absolutely insane. You could argue, well, Duke has a better resume. They beat more ranked teams. Woo-doo-woo-woo. Sure, fine. Good and dandy. The problem is, again, NC State had a last-minute shakeup to his lineup like none of these other teams have had. A player that you were expecting to be your ace has not played a minute, and I don't believe is even on campus anymore. Mm-hmm. So, it's a very different situation than what almost any other team would have to work with, and yet and still second in the ACC. You're starting a true freshman at center who was not pegged as that coming into the year, and yet and still you're doing what you do. So, listen, the Play for K game is always emotional. It's always emotional for me personally. Sure. Westmore and Company, y'all know what to do. You've been here. You've done this. This is old hat. Big games are nothing new to you. Yeah, you're walking into the Lions Den and all that, but hey, I fear no Blue Devils, for Isaiah James is with me. I fear no Dirty Foot Club, for Zoe Brooks is right there tallying up a stat sheet stuffing performance. I'm not worried about no fighting Irish because I got a pit bull named Madison Hayes on the squad, ready to do whatever it takes to get it done. I think that this game is the first in which NC State is going to truly show who they are through this stretch. And I think that who they truly are is a team that, again, has every bit of potential to get right back to the Final Four and maybe even deeper.
Duke enters Monday night on a 5-game win streak, NC State on a 6-game win streak. Somebody's got to lose, but I love the Lady Pack's chances in the old barn. Monday night, Reynolds play for K-game again, NC State versus Duke. It'll most certainly be an electric atmosphere, to say the least. Coming up next, we're going to round out our Monday show discussing potentially the most important position group for NC State football in 2025. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Monday show. We're going to close this show talking some NC State football. Kenton, I wanted to discuss, what do you think the most important position group for program success will be in 2025? Is it going to be the quarterback and CJ Bailey? Is it going to be the defensive line in the absence of Davin Vann? What do you think the most impactful and important position will be for the Wolfpack?
It's going to be that two-headed duo, maybe more, maybe 3 heads of Hollywood Smothers, Kendrick Raphael, and even more than having faith in them, I think it's important that they are a pressure release valve for the pass game. I do not see a world where we win if we're demanding that CJ Bailey throw the ball 40 to 45 times a game. I don't see that as a winning solution for us. I don't see that as us utilizing our talent most effectively. And that's me saying this knowing our wide receiving core is going to be one of the best groups in the ACC, if not the country. I still believe the key and the path to winning next season is balance. Even if you're going fast, you still need to have teams have to respect the running game, if nothing else. So I would say the running back room, most important for next year.
Yeah, I think this is a fun topic to kind of touch at in February, and we'll definitely talk about this a lot more in depth, probably in like July or August, because right now it's a lot more projection, but then after the spring game and into the summer, as you get into fall camp, then it starts becoming what we're actually hearing is going on. But from 1,000 yards away, as we sit here in February, I would venture to say the most important group is going to be the offensive line. And you probably could have said that to be the same in 2024 as well. But when you're looking at this 2025 team, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit already, we don't really know what we're going to be getting out of the defense. New defensive coordinator with DJ Elliott. It's going to be a little bit different than the 3-3-5, but not too different. When you don't quite really know what to expect out of your defense, but you're retaining the majority of your offense, if your offense is going to click and they're going to go from the word go, it's all going to start up front. And it always does, but it might just be more imperative this season than ever before in recent memory. If NC State is going to have to get into some track meets and going to have to play in some gunfights, you're going to have to be able to put up points. And to do that, to Kenton's point, talked about the running backs, it can't be one-dimensional. You can't rely on CJ Bailey to have to throw for 40, 50 times a game. Some of us would like to see that because we've been asking for an air raid offense, but it's just not quite sustainable. You're going to have to establish an effective run game that is complementary to that of the pass game. And with guys like Hollywood Smothers and Kendrick Raphael, you have that. We know and we've seen what Hollywood Smothers can do. And in turn, to get him going as well, it's going to be that push up. You're going to have to be a lot more aggressive and attacking on the ground, I think, in 2025 than you were in 2024. And again, that all starts up front.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when I say the running backs, I mean, you say the offensive line, I think that we're both very clearly pushing an agenda here.
Yes.
Run the damn ball, okay? That's going to be vitally important. But also to the offensive line point, like you said, the protection of CJ Bailey is going to be an important part of this.
Right.
Yes, obviously you want to run the ball and put yourself in good position so that you're never behind the sticks per se. That's not realistic. It's not realistic to say, hey, you're never going to be behind the sticks. Even the best teams in the country get behind the sticks at times. The important part is minimizing how much you're behind the sticks and what you do in those situations. How good are you in those situations? When teams get to drawing up their wonkiest blitzes, can you protect against them and give your quarterback enough time to, take those deep shots, find those open receivers, give those receivers time to fully get into their routes, So it's going to be a situation where, the offensive line, the running backs, the running game, they're going to be vitally important to next year's success.
Yeah, and you've already heard us talk about it probably multiple times at this point. I do think that this team is going to have to be a lot more offensive-minded than in years past. You have a new offensive coordinator with Kurt Roper. Perhaps things will change a bit from what we saw out of Anai. He's already said he'd like to up the tempo at the very least. If NC State can lead offensively to not have to rely so much on the defense, again, the offensive line will be the key to everything you want to do offensively. Passing the ball, throwing the ball, literally everything. If you cannot establish protection for CJ and also run blocking for Hollywood and Kendrick, it might very well end up being another long season like we just saw this past year. But very curious to know what y'all think as we sit here in February. Again, we'll definitely touch on this a lot more in July and August, but I do think it's interesting to kind of get the ball rolling now, seeing what people think. I think that's the most interesting part of the early days before spring ball really gets going. That will do it for us here on Monday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us what you think about NC State men's basketball and NC State women's basketball. Again, the play for K game Monday evening against Duke. And let us know your early thoughts on what the most important position group might be for NC State football in 2025. We'll see y'all right back here tomorrow on Tuesday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.